Next up on the Run That Back podcast, we got Long Island, New York's own Public Enemy.
P.E.
What album? Yo, Bum Rush the Show. Next up, Run That Back podcast. Let's get it.
Run that back.
Yo, stop with your man Scorpio Moe.
C.Boogie, y'all.
And this is the
Run That Back
podcast. Today we are out in Roosevelt, Long Island. Home of Julius Irving. Home of Dr. J, my favorite athlete. Goes to show you how old I am. But my favorite athlete. But also home to Eddie Murphy via Brooklyn. But today's guest, or featured, or
today's
subject from there as well. And this is the group, rap group, hip hop group, Public Enemy.
Yeah, boy.
Hey man, I don't know if hip hop. I want to say hip hop turned the corner at this point.
It did.
Sonically for sure.
It did.
Sonically for sure.
It did.
And then just what hip hop could be. As far as like what we can say. Oh, we can say that. Oh wow, somebody said that. You know what I'm saying? Like things of that nature. So, I remember I went to school with somebody, and it was like the first time they heard the name Farrakhan was from Public Enemy. So I was like that. I mean, I've heard of it before then, but to see somebody else who is my peer to say that, it's like that. What world are you living in? But you just don't know. So a lot of information came through rap records, and this is one of the vessels right here, Public Enemy.
Definitely. This group is probably, unless you grew up in a, I would say, necessarily pro-black household, this was the first time you heard Farrakhan, Chesmard, Shirley Chisholm. These were the proponents of that bit of information.
You know what's funny about that? I knew Asada Shakur. I knew the name, but I didn't know her real name. And then he says it, Joanne Cheshire. So I didn't. So even through that, like I knew Asada Shakur. I knew that story, but I never knew her real name until. And then even when I heard it on the record, I was like, "Who in that?" And then somebody connected it. I was like, "Oh, that's." For some reason, I thought that was her real name.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting how we were getting educated. Some of us were getting some type of knowledge through this music.
Definitely. The year that this album came out was technically considered the beginning of the golden age, because we know that golden age of hip hop was like 87 through 90, right? So this was the beginning, because this year you had Public Enemy. This year you had Eric B. and Rakim, and this year you had Boogie Down Production. So it kind of went from hip hop being a party vibe, throw your hands in the air, talking about parents don't understand, picking boogers, all just mundane stuff, brought to you by the likes of Jazzy Jeff or the Beastie Boys or Fat Boys.
Nothing was wrong with that.
There was nothing wrong with that, but this is where the term message rap kicks in and comes in with a strong force, because we all know what KRS did with Boogie Down Productions. We all know.
Well, you understand, at this time, he didn't even.
Right.
Chris wasn't even on.
Right. It wasn't the My Philosophy Chris.
Right.
It was the Criminal Minded Chris with him and Scott LaRock. This was the turn in seriousness of rap when you first heard Rakim. There was no Rakim's voice and his content. There was no jokes on
another Long Island native.
Yeah, another Long Island native.
Here's the thing, though. Even with that, you fast forward, you go back. Other than that, it was the message, the message,
Right,
was
but-
the first one. But then you got I mean, Hard Times, Run DMC, Fearless 4 had a record called Problems of the World Today. But
we're talking about a whole
But they were just
album.
talking about like life,
Right.
right? But when you start talking about, and they get into it on their other albums, like they sprinkle a little stuff on here, nothing heavy. But when you talk about the plight of black people,
Right. Now the second album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back.
No,
That's
third
when they
one.
go.
That was the third.
No, that was the second. Fear of a Black Planet was the third album.
You sure?
I'm
Take a nation.
I'm
What was it? I
positive.
thought the second one was
No. It Takes a Nation of Millions was the next one
Bum
because
Rush the Show.
It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, because you gotta realize the second single off of It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back was
The Tea Kettle.
Yeah, Rebel Without a Pause.
Rebel Without.
And then the first single off
Okay,
of the third album
yeah,
was Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Yeah,
Was it
yeah,
Fight
yeah.
the Power?
Yeah.
Either one. I forget. It's either Welcome to the Terror Dome or Fight the Power.
Yeah, right.
But in any case, Eric B. and Rakim brought in a seriousness to hip hop where it was like, yo, this man is an MC. He's coming with you. He's coming at you with lyrics, seriousness. There was no joking around. Everybody else, like he said, had a sprinkle of seriousness on their album. Like maybe it was like
They
a
just
song.
talk about hard times or the way life is for everyone. But when you get narrowed down to like black people, us versus government, and our social issue, just ours, not the world's,
Right.
just ours and our community and why. It's like the difference between what Malcolm was imparting, what Martin was saying, but now we got, it became a little bit more radical.
Now, see, I think this album is Martin. It Takes a Nation of Millions to
Oh,
Hold Us
on
Back
themselves.
is
Okay.
Malcolm. That's where the change occurs. It's like this is Martin, where they're like, all right, we being peaceful. We got little stuff for you. We talking about crack a little bit. We talking about apartheid a little bit here.
Because he was even on this album, Chuck. It's how dope of an MC he thought he was, and he could like this still had that to it.
And yes, there was a little bit of braggadociousness.
But right, being a man,
Right.
and
Yep.
the
plight of a woman using you,
right,
or using her feminine wiles to get what she wants.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And then you had your song where, like niggas always do, my car. You know what I'm saying? They hit every topic on this album that you were
Do you think that
technically
was
supposed
Do you
to.
think that was, especially when you think about the logo? Do you think that was intentional? For not to come in with this message first, we're going to get you to like us.
Yeah.
And we're going to sprinkle a little dust of information. All
We're
right?
gonna sprinkle some dust.
A little dust.
Some
We'll
angel
sell
dust.
some dust.
Yeah, sell some dust.
But we're not going to, and then each album we're going to put more. Like, we're not going to bombard you with all this stuff. That might run you away.
I think that
Because if you look at the logo and you understood what he meant, it was like, oh, they're trying to go somewhere with this.
right. I definitely think that they started out with the intention, because I definitely think everything that this group did was intentional. But along with their intention, the ills of society made them amp their shit.
Oh,
up.
yeah, what was actually
Right, what was
going
actually
on, whether
going
it's
on.
the Yusef
Exactly,
Hawkins
because-
situation in Brooklyn and Bensonhurst.
Right. And then you had the Rodney King. So it was like
Right.
anything that happened in society, they amped it up even more with their
Right,
following
right,
albums. So
right,
it was
right.
just like a build up. You know what I'm saying? But with this particular album, I definitely think it was intentional. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But
And rest in peace to Earl Simmons, a.k.a. E-Loved. I'm not sure when we're going to drop this episode, but he passed away a couple of weeks ago. Was LL Cool J's right-hand man. He was responsible for a lot of stuff behind the scenes a lot of people don't know. The reason why I'm saying rest in peace to him, because he is the actual silhouette on the logo that you see on the Target with the crosshair.
it'll be right there.
That's his real silhouette. From a photo that was taken, I think it was used in a poster as well. He stood in that stance, and that was it. What's the name? He went to college for that.
Yeah, it was Chuck D's graphic artist.
Yeah, he's a graphic artist. So that logo is probably one of, if not the most famous logo in hip hop. A lot of stuff in that era. Period. Yeah. When you see that Def Jam logo, you know what it is. And then when you see that public, you don't even have to put the words. You can just put that up there. And I think everyone knows what that is. So shout out to Chuck for doing that, and rest in peace to E-Love.
Yeah. So getting into real quickly the ecosystem of 1987, as I stated, Eric B. and Rakim paid in full. That set a new standard for emceeing and sampling. Boogie Down Productions, Criminal Minded.
One of my favorite albums.
Yeah, that introduced message rap, conscious lyrics.
But did it?
It was one of them. Like I said,
these three didn't really say much then.
Well, from a, not that we know Chris the teacher.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That he became the teacher on my
second album.
Yeah, on the second album. But these three artists started all that. Public Enemy, Ice-T, West Coast Gangster Rap in 87. LL Cool J had Bigger and Deffer out with I'm Bad, I Need Love. Other people that were out in 87, Bismarck, MC Light, definitely Salt and Pepper, Big Daddy Kane. From an R&B perspective, real quickly, Janet Jackson was still killing them with Control because she had The Pleasure Principle, Let's Wait a While. Michael Jackson released Bad. Jody Watley had Looking for a New Love and Don't You Want Me. Prince had You Got the Look and Sign of the Times. New Jack Swing was coming around the corner with Keith Sweat's I Want Her. And then you had the dance pop side with Lisa and Cult Jam and Club Nouveau and the Jets. So that was the ecosystem of what was going on the charts and in the music for R&B and hip hop. But as we always do about this time, when were you introduced to Public Enemy?
I'll tell you, it's an awards show. I want to say it was American Music Awards. Beastie Boys come out to present an award. I can look this clip up, by the way. We'll try to find it and put it down here. They come out, I want to say with Hurricane. I'm not sure. DJ Hurricane. There's a radio. They come out there and they play the radio. And it's a Public Enemy song, one that we're going to talk about. And they're sitting up there doing the WAP to it and playing for a split second. And I was like, what is that? What is that? Def Jam is known, they're loud, especially at that time. Only time they weren't loud was when I Need Love. But outside of that, that's what their sound was. In your face, that's them. And original concept with the bass, all that stuff, like they were loud with a lot of bass. And this was loud, extremely loud. And it played the clip, and it took a minute. And then when I heard it, I was like, that's the song that I heard. What goes on? Well, I was like, oh, I connected the dots. So that was my first time hearing it. And that might have been, if they were presenting an award, I assumed their album was out. But man, that was my first time. And y'all could please look that up. Beastie Boys, American Music Awards in that time frame. And they played Public Enemy's record for a split second. But it was enough to be like, oh, what is that? Oh, what is that? What is that? What is that? That's it. That's my introduction to PE. Yo.
My introduction to PE was my boy Keith.
Keith comes up a lot.
Keith and Kurt
comes up a lot. God, but we need to have them brothers on the show. We need to do like a streaming because they introduce, and you're a music guy. So for to introduce you to a lot of music was just we gotta interview them.
So I would say in my music development, they were the ones who introduced me to hip hop per se, because they introduced me to Super Lover C, Casanova Rudd.
Shout out to Queens, by the way.
Lisa and Call Jam, because their mom's favorite record was what was
Take You Home?
Yeah, Take You Home. She played that every time, all time we was in the house. But in any case, I remember they went to, again, they took a trip to Stedford's on the north side of Pittsburgh record store, and I heard You're Gonna Get Yours, and I was like, what is that? It wasn't even the first single. I was like, what is that? They was like, that's Public Enemy. I was like, what? I run that back because I was in their car because their mom let them borrow the car, and we would ride around with the windows down, and they would just be bumping You're Gonna Get Yours. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like this is, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It is not LL. It ain't the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
This is nothing.
Yeah.
This ain't even new wave. This ain't
and
rock.
Chuck's voice is just...
This is nothing. Like,
yeah.
So that was my introduction to Public Enemy. And so this album is Bum Rush the Show. It was released March 1987, recorded in 1986, recorded in Hempstead. The label was Def Jam Columbia. It was produced by Bill Stepney and the Bomb Squad, which happened to be Hank Shockley, Keith Shockley, and I forget who else it was.
Forget the brother's name.
I will let you know who it is. Like I said, Hank Shockley, Keith Shockley, Eric Sapp.
Eric Sapp.
There we go, Eric Sapp. But getting into the singles. The very first single from Yo Bum Rush the Show is the song that this man was introduced to, and more recently, if you know Sean Combs, Diddy, he had his version of it, but this is the original. Public Enemy #1. What goes on, Mo?
Ooh, it just starts off eerie, like that sound. Yeah. And then you hear this other guy. Then you hear this, who you don't know at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yo, kick that round that you was kicking me on the way to Lionton, Queens. No, yo, what's up with your man Chucky D? Yeah, man, he swear he's nice. Man, the brother don't swear he's nice. He knows he's nice. Man, so I kicked around the rumors on the way, because the story it's based on, it's real. Chuck's father had a moving company, and they would travel, and I think it was in Queens, and him and Flav would, all three of them. So imagine being with Flav all day moving furniture, crazy. But and that's how that would happen. So, mind you, they're on the radio. That's how Rick Rubin was trying to sign them for a year and a half. They didn't want anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
They were working at the college of Delphi on the radio, doing what they do now. They were already doing it. Mm-hmm. Their first interview, Run DMC's first interview,
is with them.
It's with them. Right. You know what I'm saying? What does that say? And that's 84. Chuck's old. Chuck graduated like in 79. Something crazy. He graduated in the 70s. Chuck is 75. Something crazy. But this ear, his eye, these guys formed and got together. But yeah, that song just, and he just comes in. It's almost like somebody kicked in the fucking door. Because everything drops. What goes on? And then you hear this roar, like he really has the roar. Well, and it's just going. And it just never stops.
And nobody has a voice like Chuck D. Like that.
You talking about cut through the track? Like
it was deep, it was commanding, and then you had the contrast of Flavor Flav's high-pitched recklessness. Like Chuck was the voice of steady, of consistency, and over here is this gnat. Right. Flavor Flav just buzzing around, dropping shit. Just
the flip side to that is he got the idea of having Flavor to do that. He borrowed it from Schoolie D. He tells the story, so I don't want nobody thinking I'm making this up. You can look Chuck, do your research. Chuck tells the story. Steady B has a DJ named Cold Money. C-O-D Money. C-O-D-E Money. Was it Cold Money? C-O-D-E Money, yeah.
Cold Money?
Cold.
C-O-D-E.
Yeah. And he's on the track. That's how he's talking. Steady. Yo, Steady, they can't. And he's big enough Steady. And he's it's not as loud and obnoxious. Schoolie, pardon me. Schoolie, not loud or obnoxious, as obnoxious as Flavor is. But because Cole's here, Flav takes it here. and that kind of thing. So he openly admit he borrowed that idea. And he took a page. Let's just say that. And that's exactly what happened. And that's how that Flav got in.
Yeah.
Think about it. That's how Flav got on the record. That's your part.
Yeah. And then from, just speaking of Schoolie D, they took that from Schoolie D. Ice-T took his flow from Schoolie D. And then Ice Cube took his flow from Ice-T, which references Schoolie D. And I believe at one point in time in one of our episodes, we were like, Schoolie D, is he the godfather of all this gangster shit? One could safely assume.
Definitely flow in the nerve. And what I mean by the nerve is like
the audacity.
Yeah, the audacity to say what he was saying, because no one were really able to tap down. They'll say a little passing reference, but no one would, talking about doing coke and, beat a bitch up and I got my gun on me, Parkside Killers, PSK, no one was talking like that.
Yeah.
Talking about my Chiba and these album designs. Like he would draw his album covers. Yeah. And it would be like, for me, he was paying homage to Parliament with the cartoons and the drawings on, which I was a kid looking at this, fascinating. I remember my family going to the Flashlight concert at the Spectrum. I remember the night, them getting ready to go to the Spectrum to watch the guys that I see in my uncle's, stayed in my grandmother's attic with the velvet posters. They're going to see these guys, which was bugged out to me. And I'm going through the albums and I'm seeing Sir Nose and all these characters, right? Schoolie takes that and he draws and himself. It's almost a superhero with these low shades and high top, and he's drawing it out. He has a gun on him. He's smoking weed. Who was doing that? He was. So that's why he has to be the godfather to this. To me, the audacity. That's it.
The next single, You're Gonna Get Yours. Now this song, oh God, this was my introduction to them, but it also it's sometimes subtitled My 98 Oldsmobile because
they keep saying it.
This is how you know niggas love that car. The ultimate homeboy car. This song is just
even the beat, man. This shit is hard. This shit is hard too.
Again, Chuck's voice, the contrast of Flavor Flav. This
suckers on the side. I know you hate my 98. You're gonna get your what?
Looking like the Green Hornets car.
Yeah,
I know.
Caught that, right?
Who the Green Hornet is?
Like, you get 10th on the wind, like
action hero back in the 60s.
68.
Correct. And if you know, Bruce Lee was his sidekick.
Yeah. This is a 68, mind you.
Yeah. Also, just a real quick thing. Who was it? Mars, the people that did Pump Up the Volume, sampled the song in that song. And then the Red Hot Chili Peppers used to use this as the intro to give it away when they performed in concert. But this song was just cold.
It is, man.
And
It
I think this was the cutoff of Public Enemy's quote unquote mainstream appeal for this album. I think this was because they only released 2 singles, Public Enemy #1 and this one. And after that, I think that's where they were.
This is no video, y'all. Just to be clear, there's no videos for this album.
The album cover, the single cover had everybody in front of a '98 Oldsmobile in a garage.
I mean, sonically, at this time, it gets no more in your face than this sound. Like, it's right here.
Yeah.
Like you gotta. You do yourself a disservice if you do not play this shit loud.
Yeah. Loud, somewhere that accepts loud music. Because if you can't listen to this loud,
you don't even do it.
Yeah.
Don't even do it.
Or if you have headphones, you better crank them.
Yeah, like this a damn near make you want to punch somebody in the face. Like you make that scrunch your face up, you be like, God.
Yeah, this is frustration music.
Yeah, this is not for the ladies, boy.
No,
they didn't give a fuck about the ladies. Well, on one record they did speak to the ladies.
And they didn't care about the ladies then.
They didn't care about it on that record.
Not at all, because we'll get into that title very shortly. But yeah, this album was definitely not for the ladies at all, which I always found funny because I've seen them numerous times. And the numerous times that I've seen them, there's always been a large contingency of ladies in the crowd.
I think it's masculine energy. The masculine, just that. It's just like being around a bunch of soft. Nobody wants to be around a bunch of hard women. I'm assuming women want to be around these masculine men in hip hop, which at that time. I mean, that was fucking crazy. Good luck if you can find it. But back then, we're talking LLs.
Mm-hmm. He was the only one that was kind of catering to the ladies.
Right. But just a sense of masculine, him taking off the shirt. He's speaking to the ladies. Mm-hmm. He's not being soft himself, but he's directing the music to the women. Mm-hmm. But these guys are just like...
Take that shit.
Yo, I'm assuming that energy. Ladies, leave it in the comments of how you feel. I've never been to a PE show.
What?
I've seen Chuck many times in person, but I've never been to a PE. Never. I hate to admit that. I've never been to a PE show in my life. Never, not once.
God, you've never been to a PE.
Not once.
Wow.
Not once. I missed that Was it Raising Hell tour? No, it was. They had a tour with the Beastie Boys. That was Raising Hell. Yeah, that one where they went to Japan and they did all that. It was Public Enemy, Beastie Boys, and Run DMC.
Okay, I've seen them with them.
That was the tour.
I've also seen them on the Budweiser Superfest. I've seen them in DC with Guy and
Public
Beastie
Enemy
Boys.
And Guy?
Oh yeah, in DC it was Public Enemy, Beastie Boys, Run DMC, Guy. This was, I think, in '88 or '89. It was like a super Budweiser Superfest. So there's a whole bunch of people on that bill. But yeah, I've seen them in DC as well. I've seen them in Pittsburgh twice too. So yeah, they were not the one for the ladies. But those were the singles. And when we get back, we will dive deeply into the track list for Yo Bum Rush the Show. Okay, folks, we are back and we are about to get into the track list of Yo Bum Rush the Show by Public Enemy.
Yeah.
The first song, like I said, we've already discussed. You're going to get yours, classic. The second song that we are about to get into, like we said, they didn't do too much for the ladies on this particular album, but the second song, Sophisticated Bitch.
Woo!
Give us your take on this, Mo, because you have a pretty interesting take.
The thing that caught my attention most of all, other than the title, was his flow. And the first instinct I had was NWA.
But
Ice Cube and Easy more specifically.
mm-hmm.
When Ice Cube wrote for Easy, this was the flow. What's the you know that kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Even Dope Man is that flow.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, it just sounds different because Chuck's voice has so much weight to it.
Right.
But re-listening to it, and I was right about that. But to take it even back further, which actually I moved forward with them, but to go before Chuck, I believe this is actually a Schoolie D flow.
Correct, because you can pin the flow from Schoolie D
Now
to Ice-T.
But I'm about to shake it up again. Slightly. It's also a Spoonie G approach.
Spoon and rap?
Spoon and rap, his other songs, his storytelling approach, walking down the street, meeting, all that, even to his name. Spoonie G, Schoolie D.
Okay.
So I just want people to know, now not saying the gangster part of it.
Right.
That was all Schoolie.
Right.
But the everyday life approach, my seats recline. Like remember LL and Booming System, like Spoonie G said, my seats are soft like a bed, recline laid back so we can get real cozy. You know, because that's a line that he said in one of his raps. You know, my seats are soft like a bed, water bed. You know, if you listen to Spoonie G, but when you listen to Spoonie, how his storytelling and rap and walking down. When I was walking down the street, Schoolie D's approach was similar. If you told me he was influenced by it, I would believe you. But he just took a more gangster approach. So it's just funny. We're all this tree. We're all branches from some tree, whomever you may be. Nothing new under the sun. Everybody approaches it different. Their voice and texture will make it feel different. So that kind of thing. So I just wanted to put that out there. But that song in particular, first thing that made me think was NWA and Easy.
Yeah. At first,
you said you didn't like it.
Yeah, first listen, I didn't like it because I was like, this is them trying to pull off that Beastie Boys, you know, fight for your right, my Adidas, you know, I mean, not my Adidas, like walk this way. It was like that whole, like, rock thing, you know.
Which Def Jam became known for.
Right, which they became known for. And also in the future, Public Enemy came back around and did Bring the Noise with Anthrax, so they finally did strike gold with a, you know, rock group and that sound, which they remixed their sound, which was a precursor to Jay-Z and Linkin Park's mashup with their thing. So I came back around to it. I at first I didn't like it, but then I just did it, listened to it. I was like, it's mid. I was like, okay, I could take it or leave it. Also, with the guitar playing being done by Vernon Reid, who is the lead guitarist for Living Colour, if you know Cult of Personality, that's who played guitar on.
I love the guitar playing on the riff. I like it.
Yeah, and it's also one of the rare songs on the album that has some sort of melody to it instead of just a lot of bombastic sounds that were going on. The next song. This is my shit. My Uzi weighs a ton. Boy, oh boy, when that hook comes back around, man, I can't tell you how many hip hop songs sampled the samples that were in this hook. From Hold It Now to the scratches, just to this is PE at one of its best moments, because it's the drums. You get the drums, you just get sounds.
The drums are hard.
Oh, the drums are hard as shit.
The drums is hard. Wow. You got woof.
Yeah.
I know mixing this was like when they got the mix from this, I know they was like, ooh.
I want bottom. I want a heavy bottom. I want a tight snare. Everything else is just do what you do to it. But yeah, this was a classic PE song to me.
Really was.
Yep. The next song, Time Bomb. I gave it mid. What was your?
What? The guitar lick on this is crazy.
It was mid to me. I could take it or leave it.
I like this. I ain't gonna hold you. The guitar lick itself was called me time. What?
Yeah, it was mid to me. I didn't hate it. It also didn't love it either.
So far, I dug everything up until that point.
The next song. Now, this is Too Much Posse. Now, this is the first of many, if you listen to Public Enemy in their catalog, of Flavor Flav having his own solo joint.
Right.
You're familiar, I'm sure you are, with It Takes Nations of Millions to Hold It. No, it wasn't that. What was 911's a Joke? Was that
That was
Takes
Flav's
Nations?
album.
No. It was on.
What?
No, it was P. It was. I'm not sure if it was
Oh,
Takes Nations of Millions to Hold Us
what
Back,
was
or if
that?
it was Fear of a Black Planet.
No, the Takes a Nation.
Hey, okay, so every album that they had.
Hold on, that was the third one, right?
That was the second one.
No, that was on the third one.
Okay.
Because that came out in 90. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, every album PE has a solo Flav.
Shout out to what's the name? He's in that video too.
Who?
Samuel Jackson.
Oh, okay. PE has solo Flav. And when again, this one is, it was mid to me. It was cool. I mean, like I said, I don't hate it. I don't love it, but it was cool. What about you?
I'm with you. This is the first one I was like, okay. It's cool. It's cool. I wasn't excited,
Right.
But I'm still on board.
All right. The next song, Right Starter, Message to a Black Man. Now this you I love this song. Not to mention, there's a go-go influence.
It is. That's the thing that made me not like it.
Oh!
Yeah, I got an X on this. I did not like it.
You didn't like this? Mind over matter. Mouth that emotion. Oh, what? Wow.
I didn't like it.
Wow.
I didn't like it.
Wow.
And this is where they start to sprinkle in the black shit. It is. I did not.
Oh, you didn't like this. Wow. I definitely thought you would have liked this.
I didn't like it.
Shock, folks. The next song, we've already gone over, but Public Enemy number 1.
Woo! Back in the game, baby.
Album got turned back up.
And I think that was by design, the sequence. It was like, we know this point is going to dip a little bit, but we're going to come right. And I think that's what they sandwiched it right. For me. And I felt it when I was like, why is, and I was like, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Now for me, this is where the album starts to take a dip. Track number 8, MPE.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it.
What did you like?
Just something about it. I just overall, I get it with the aesthetic of the album, but this is the one that's public. Yeah. Just something about the track just didn't sit well.
I think this is more for the DJs than anything else. And you gotta remember, a lot of them are DJs on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
For mix shows, this was one of those records for me. This would have been in a mix show, not for a single, but something that the DJs could fuck with. To me, I understood it. It wasn't the greatest record. I don't want to make it seem like that was like this record is high. It wasn't like that. But I get it. To me, it was a throwaway DJ record.
Yeah, just the drum track and it just didn't sit well with me. The next song, Yo Bum Rush the Show. So, I didn't like this. I didn't like this at all. I get the content of it. The content wasn't bad. It's just that.
And this is the thing that's taken from You Don't See Me Raps.
Yeah, this is the title track.
You know, when you, yo!
Right.
Yeah, so that's one, just for the people to know, because just in case they don't know where that comes from.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah, it was just too. We know Public Enemy's loud. We know it's brash in your face, right. But it's just like there's just one certain part of the hook where it's like, yo, like where somebody just does this to a piano, and I'm just like, that just.
It could be. It's annoying. I don't know if annoying is strong.
No, it gets like an acquired taste.
It is. Sonically, period.
All this shit is acquired. Yeah.
And I think the next album, it really becomes that. Rebel Without a Pause.
We can talk about that.
We'll get to that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I didn't like it. So the album falls off for me. What about you?
Yeah, I understand it. You're right. I get why you say that.
Yeah.
I get why you say it.
The next song, Raise the Roof. Again, I don't like it. I get the content of it. I like the content. I get it. He's talking about raising the roof, but he's talking about from a party standpoint, just the party being live and DJ's cutting it up and you having a good time, not the house being on fire. But again, musically, it just didn't sit right with me.
It might be my least favorite record on there. It might be my least favorite. Yeah. For that reason. It just felt, to me, it felt forced. I don't even take them as that type of group.
So you thought this was their attempt at a party record that fell short?
Yeah,
because mind you, we're coming out of that. They've turned that corner of hip hop being just.
Yeah.
But
you got to remember, they haven't made an album before.
Right.
So they made singles and made their own situations.
Yeah.
And played promos, but cohesive project, and it almost felt like, we need another record.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you got a song we could play at the it felt like one of them. Yeah. The
next song, Mega Blast. I love this song. I like this song just from the format of it, of like Chuck and Flav. Flav raps a little bit, Chuck comes in, Chuck raps, Flav comes in. The way that it was recorded, I like that. There's a part where they get their Missy Elliott on, where they rewind the vocals on it and everything. And it's just I would say this is very old school hip hop. It's just a drum beat, scratching, and just them. And then plus they're talking about crack.
Yeah, I think it's a stripped down record. Like you said, old school, supposed to be more,
basic hip hop.
Yeah. Very, very, I don't want to overuse the word boom bap, but just raw.
Yeah, because this isn't even boom bap.
Yeah, this is just raw.
Yeah.
But do I think it's necessarily for the album? No. I would have, if they were kind of mixtapes to a certain point. A few of these songs, this is one of them, it's mixtape worthy. It's not album worthy. I don't think it's album worthy. I think it's creative. Well, no, I can't even say creative. I don't think it's mixed. I don't think it's mixtape worthy, not album worthy.
I don't see it bad for an album just from a content standpoint, from a perspective standpoint. Maybe it's definitely not the best crack song alive, but I hate to put it like that. It's not the best do not do drugs song, but I get it. As you said, it's their first album, so yeah. And then the last song. I wavered back and forth with this. This is Terminator X Speaks with His Hands. Now, mind you, this is just the mashup of two songs that are previously on the album. I think the first one is MPE, and the other one is I think the other one's Time Bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just Flav, you know. It's like there's no scratching. It's not like Terminator X's song on the second album, Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, where, you know, everybody knows the Flash sample, you know, and he goes into scratching after that.
I think I think it's more for the producers than it is the artists. I think this record was really more for the producers. But once again, it feels like another album filler.
Well, this definitely feels like an album filler because you take two songs that were on the album and you just put it together. Like, what was the point? You might have just left it an 11-track album. You know what I'm saying? It's like, or you could have done old school and went 10 or 9.
But that lets me know, I'm like, okay, on the originals, they didn't get the mix they wanted. So we're going to create, you see what I'm saying? That's what I get from it.
So you felt this is
a producer's call.
Yeah.
I feel like it is.
Yeah.
I feel like it is. Like, why else? It makes zero sense. Why you couldn't do it original? Like, it make to me, unless you didn't like the mix and you want to.
Yeah, I just
that's what I get.
I wavered back and forth with this because I was just like, do I like it? Don't I like it? It's mid because I'm just like, whatever. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but you know, it's on a decent album. So yeah, that was my take on it. And when we get back, we will talk about the pros, cons, and conclusions for Yo Bum Rush the Show. All right, y'all, we are back with the pros, cons, and conclusions for Public Enemy's Yo Bum Rush the Show. Mo, what were your pros?
My pros is sonically, I think we introduced the new chamber to hip hop. Def Jam was always with LL's music, and even the introduction to Def Jam with the single "It's Yours" to the Rock. I think in this time period, LL, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, Def Jam was like the step ladder of sound, energy, loudness. Oh man, just sound wise, Chuck D's voice. Love, one of the best voices in hip hop. To me, one of the best voices. Him, Q-Tip, Snoop, just very distinctive, very commanding, and just like I said, sonic. Bomb Squad. Bomb Squad. We could go off on that family tree, even into R&B, but you know what? Bomb Squad. Yeah, yours.
Shit. Let's start at the Bomb Squad. Start with Chuck D. Let's continue with the sonics of it all. Then bringing the
snippet samples. It was like
the sampling.
Yeah.
Overall sampling into the game.
Yeah.
These men would take a hi-hat from somewhere, a kick from someplace. They would literally quilt a track together
and throw a whole nother record in there for a split second and never to be heard again.
Never to be heard again. And this was all done prior to sampling laws, which real funny and quickly I find that, you know, if you go back through history, if you go back to rock and you got I forget, was it Big Mama Thornton? I think that's her name. She played the rock guitar and people stole from her. Basically, people steal from black people, no problem. Once we start taking things, using things from other genres of music,
go Johnny, go.
They want to start implementing laws and things of that nature to hinder us from making the money that we could be making. But in any case, that's a whole nother topic and show. But yeah, sampling, Bomb Squad, Chuck D, Flav, Just the whole unit as a whole for what they brought to hip hop, from the black medallions, the knowledge,
the
clock, the knowledge that made you hear names and things and ideas and make you go, I wonder what that's about. And you go out on your own and find out what was the meaning behind this, what was their reasoning behind this. Not to mention, during that time frame of when they were out, more black kids went to college because of the likes of Public Enemy, the likes of BDP, just the likes of A Different World.
So I can already say that. Yeah. So between that and A Different World, interesting.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, those are my pros. Your cons.
Cons. It felt short to me on that first time making an album. I don't know if they self A&R. I believe they did. They A&R themselves, which could be, it could hurt, it could help, and I think this did a little of both.
But do you think it was the time though?
Yeah, I think it was. And then the time they were signed into the label, Rick Rubin was gonna let them do what they wanted to do.
Because he wanted them that bad.
Yeah, like let them rock out. You know, we're hearing these promos on WHBI, you know what I'm saying, and they're killing it. I want to do a whole album of that.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know what happened, but some songs just felt like on filler. And we'll just put this out there. It didn't have the same passion as You're Gonna Get Yours.
Right.
And like well crafted. Because a lot of the album is cut and paste.
Yeah.
Maybe they ran out of paste. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. My cons are the fall off towards the end. You could definitely tell, like, with early in the album, there was like a fall off, or the excitement or the anticipation of, because like when you're like recording an album, it's like you're like very high early on in the songs. You're like putting everything into it, and then as you start wrapping up,
these are the songs that made it. Let's be clear.
These are songs that made it. And then as you get towards the end, you're like, I just want to wrap this shit up so we can put it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to.
It felt like that too.
You know what I'm saying? So it felt like that a little bit. Other than that, your conclusion.
My conclusion is, I think the West Coast borrowed more from Public Enemy, and that's especially Dr. Dre, more than they admit. If you listen to a lot of NWA stuff, the Dr. Dre, I believe Dr. Dre was influenced by the Bomb Squad, and that was the reason why Ice Cube wasn't easy to move vertical. I mean, not vertical, move adjacent and go to. It was an easy fit for him to go over to the Bomb Squad for his first album, because it was the sound. If you listen to NWA and the radio snippets and the way they were doing it, it's dumb. And then you listen to when he was in the Record Crew, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
So to me, more than they admit, now we can get the Ice Cube's flow and all, that they borrowed from Public Enemy, and they won't give that credit. To me, you listen to the West Coast prior to Public Enemy, you listen to Dr. Dre afterwards, and it's like,
now that you say that, it kind of makes sense.
Listen to Express Yourself. Forget the words. Listen to the beat in your head.
Yeah. Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So to me, that's what I get from it. I think they took a page, and right, I'm not mad at that.
No,
I'm not mad at that at all.
No, because Dre definitely did what he did.
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. But I think that's the reason why Ice Cube was able to get production on his first, because it was going to be that sound anyway.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, even though he's from the West Coast, East Coast heavily was influential with basically all the hip hop sounds.
Yeah, well, just hip hop in general. You can't be influenced by hip hop at that age and not be influenced by New York.
Yeah.
The disappointment came when New York, they weren't embraced.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When they were doing their version of it or whatever. But I think we've gotten past that.
Yeah.
But that's what I take from that. Overall, different album. Chuck's voice, sonically, I think they were necessary to push hip hop along.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm glad Rick stayed on and kept. He said he had the number on the refrigerator. He would call them every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad Rick stayed with that. He saw something. Rick Rubin does not get enough credit. He's the one that signed. He's the one that signed LL, him and the Beastie Boys. He's the one that wanted Slick Rick. Yeah. All that first Beastie Boys, all them first big Def Jam records,
first generation
was not Russell. Yeah. It was Rick, A&R and picking and saying, we need to get him.
Yeah.
That's just for people that don't know.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. My conclusions are the same. Without PE, you don't get the BDPs, you don't get the X-Clans, you don't get all these other socially conscious groups that follow afterwards during that whole message rap, black power segment in hip hop. You don't get the commanding voices like a CL Smooth, like a Common, like people who have like distinct but you know, like strong but consistent voices. Also, you don't get the comedy, you know, even though
it balances out, so it's not so serious, and you get this other thing going on, comic relief of sorts.
Yeah, you get the comic relief from Flav. So
guess what Chuck did? Guess what it just reminded me of? Oh. CP, what's the dude from California? NWA. CPO.
Oh.
I think his name.
CPO, yeah.
He had the voice.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, he's one of those voices again.
Yeah.
I just saw this one.
Yeah. But no, just the balance of the
Parish,
the comic relief and the seriousness of it. But yeah, so what do you give Yo Bum Rush the show? Does it hold up?
I give it a 6.5. I want to give it a 7, but when you really do the math on the numbers, half of the album we didn't really like. It starts off super strong for me. It tells, like, I had to sit back and think about what you said and re-listen. I was like, yeah, it does do that. It does do that. I guess I'm a 6. No, let me round it off to a 7. I think it's a dope album. I'm going to work out to this album. At least, no, the whole, because it's that energy. It has energy. Yeah. I would give it a strong 7.
Yeah, I agree. I'd fall in line with the 7, nothing higher, nothing lower. Because, yeah, like I said, the album starts out strong and then it starts to just fall off.
Run out of gas.
Yeah, it runs out of gas towards the end. And it's just like, but you still get the feeling, the vibe of the whole album where it's like this, the album is strong even though you missed like with, 3 or 4 tracks.
The dope part about it is
the vibe of it all.
If the album was super dope, they would have been chasing their first album forever. That's what you got to be real careful with having a super dope album the first time around. You get a cool, that's dope, that's fly. You get one of those, or you get one of these, then you could. But not a lot of times you're competing with that first album. You never do as good as that debut. People that have real big ones. When you think about the big monster debuts, they're forever chasing those records.
Now, do you think this album was not as big as it could have been because of the Sonics?
Yeah, it was new. There was no videos. It was just new. It's like, hold on, what is this?
Because I do believe they could not chase down their second album. Their second album was that second album was
that's what I'm saying. It was a letter from the government. Like, how do you listen, man? But that's dope.
Yeah.
Imagine if their second album was their first album. See what I'm saying?
Ooh, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna come on now.
Yep. So wrapping up, Mo gives it a 7. I give it a 7. Public Enemy's Yo Bum Rush the Show gets a 7, and it stands the test of time. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Run That Back Podcast, Twitter/X at the Run That Back Pod 1, TikTok at the Run That Back Pod 1. On YouTube, don't forget to follow us on the Run That Back Podcast page.
Subscribe to, please.
Subscribe to. Don't forget to subscribe to the Run That Back Pod Clips page.
Yes.
When you can't watch the show, but you just want to get a little taste. And, yeah, that's it. So basically for
Scorpio Moe.
I am C.Boogie, and this has been another episode of the Run That Back Podcast. Good day.
You know.
Run that